everyone, it is Jazz here, and today I'm doing a mix of one of my 5 things list videos as well as a discussion video, because I had a concept pop into my head a couple of weeks ago about things that I avoid in books, things that I see in a summary and I immediately feel like they do the opposite of what a buzzword does. A buzzword makes you want to pick up that book and check it out because it's something that inspires you, and these do the antithesis of that. I see them and I go, I'm gonna have to be convinced. Honestly, I probably have more than 5 of these things, but I like these being just 5 things. So I'm going to talk about the main ones that occurred to me as I was thinking about this concept. The first one is one that truly does bother me to the point of I don't even think I've read a book that contains this element. However, I have seen it in TV shows, and thus this is why I avoid it in books. It is when the main character or a group of characters is trying to, in a time travel situation, change a real life historical event. I want to be very clear about this. I do like storylines where it's sort of a quantum leap situation. If you watch the show Quantum Leap, in which the main character is trying to change small events, that's fine. If a author creates a situation where they've made up a big situation, that is also fine if they're trying to change that because it's a fictionalized situation. What I don't love is going back in time and trying to change real life war events or things like the Kennedy assassination. I feel like it's just a sign up for the main character to fail, because obviously you can't change real life historical events without creating a certain level of complexity. And thus, usually I feel like a character would not succeed in that situation. Like the author wouldn't want to deal with that, and they just end up having the character fail at their goal. And that's not really fun to root for. Even if this character did succeed at their goal, then you're creating an alternate history. I don't mind an alternate history story, but I like alternate histories to start out from the beginning as alternate histories. I don't really want to deal with the complexity of everything that changed after they changed that real life historical event. This is literally the reason why I never picked up 11/22/63 by Stephen King, even though I like a Stephen King book. It's the reason why I quit watching Outlander mid-season 2. I just really don't like that concept. Number 2 is one that kind of makes me sad because I do wish that I liked this element more, and that is spin-off books or series that are about the children from previous books or series. That probably made 0 sense. So basically, if there's a book or a series that I have completed that contained several main characters that I loved, and then the author creates a spin-off book and or series about the children of those characters, I genuinely do not know what my hang up with this is, because obviously if I love the characters of the previous series, I should love their children because they love their children. But it never seems to work out. For example, I never ended up finishing the final book in the Wrinkle in Time series because of this element. I did read Chain of Gold, which is the first book in the Last Hour series by Cassandra Clare, and obviously it's about the children of the characters in Infernal Devices, and y'all, it was all right. Like, it was fine, but I didn't love it. There are several spin-off series of books that I love that I just can't make myself get into because I know that they're going to be about the children of previous characters. Number 3, if your book is about your supernatural character going to a supernatural school, I don't really want to read it. This one has always been a little odd to me as well because I do enjoy a solid X-Men comic on occasion. The thing is that the X-Men are more of a sci-fi sort of based world, and the world building facilitates them going to the school for the gifted. Whereas I really struggle with books that are about wizards and witches, vampires, ghouls, werewolves even, going to a school for that specific thing that they're supernatural for. Now, if these characters are in like the mainstream high school thing, I'm not really opposed to that. I like a Twilight. I read the first Vampire Diaries books, like the first 4. Didn't mind those. I didn't mind the few Roswell books with aliens going to high school. But things like Harry Potter, Vampire Academy, even the manga Fairy Tale. I read a little bit of that and had an element of that, and I ended up not completing the first volume. I kind of feel like if you're a supernatural character, you have much better things to do than go to school for that thing. And also, why can't you just find a mentor for that thing? I've read some of these types of books and enjoyed a few, but on a whole, it's not going to be the first thing that I'm going to pick up. This next one is one that I recently discovered, and it has a little bit of backstory. Last year, in the endeavor to try to read some lighter reads and also explore a genre that was somewhat out of my comfort zone, I jumped into reading adult romance. I wanted to dive into the adult romance just to see like what I liked, what I didn't like, know more about the genre, etc. And I discovered a new thing that I didn't like in concept, and I will continue to avoid from now on through my exploration. And that is when the two love interests can only view each other through the lens of lust. If you've followed me for a long time, or you know me, you know that I am not a fan of sexy times in books. When an author decides that the two main characters are just going to lust after each other for 300 pages, I end up reading more of what I don't want to read and only hearing about people looking at each other's anatomy. It's not the element of a relationship that I enjoy, right? I like the emotional connection and the intellectual connection. And if a book is 85% that and like the rest is a little bit of sexy times that I can scan, that's okay for the most part. But yeah, I don't want to say it and watch you just lust after each other for 300 pages. If you know books that have those and you could tell me ahead of time, like give me a disclaimer to avoid them for that, please do. And the last one is that I actively avoid reading books that I know are going to be way too depressing. I don't mind a sad book. I prefer a nice balance because I think in real life there is a balance of sadness and joy, and also a middle ground between those. Those are the books that I prefer. So I don't mind some sadness in books, and I don't even mind a good cry if a book can inspire that in me, which is usually very difficult. But I'm talking about books that I know that from page 1 to the last page are going to be a super drag in my soul. Sometimes I watch the film adaptations of those because that's over in 2 hours. But y'all, I'm not living to sit there for 5 days to possibly a month, because that kind of thing would probably read slow for me, living in depression and sadness. It is the reason why I read only a few pages of Beloved and had to put it down. Granted, I had already watched the movie, so I knew what I was getting into. It's the reason why I'm probably not gonna get to A Handmaid's Tale or the sadness that seems to be A Little Life. I guess sometimes a book will surprise you with its sadness, but if I knew up front that it's sad, I'm not gonna do that. At least not right away. Life is hard enough. That is my list of 5 things that I tend to avoid in books. Let me know below in the comments your things that you tend to avoid in books. I'm very, very curious because I just want to know if you have similar ones to mine or if you have some really interesting different ones. And that is it for the video today, my fabulous peeps. I will see you all soon. Bye.